What if the wound you keep repeating is not random? What if the relationship pattern, the emotional pressure, the career frustration, the overthinking, the sensitivity, the desire to be seen, the fear of being misunderstood, what if all of that is not chaos? What if it is a map? Today, I am taking you into an actual sidereal hologenetic gene keys case study for Joanne. And I want you to listen carefully, not as entertainment, but as a mirror. Because when I read a sidereal hologenetic map, I'm not looking for personality labels. I am looking for consciousness pressure. I'm looking for the exact place where karma becomes psychology, where psychology becomes behavior, and where behavior can become awakening. This is why I use planetary placement as the diagnostic engine. The planet shows the function. The sign shows the style. The house shows the life arena. The nakshatra shows the instinctive myth. The gene key shows the shadow, gift, and siddhi. The line shows how the pattern behaves. When all of this is read together, you stop guessing. You stop saying, maybe I'm just emotional, or maybe I'm just unlucky in relationships, or maybe I'm just confused about my path. No. You begin to see the architecture. And in Joanne's map, the architecture is clear. Relationship opens the wound, communication reveals the truth, career disciplines the will, and sensitivity becomes the doorway to wisdom. Joanne's ascendant is in Capricorn, Shravana Nakshatra, first house, carrying gene key 19.6, codependence to sensitivity to sacrifice. The ascendant is the body, the identity interface, the first response to life. So from the beginning, Joanne is not built as a careless person. She is built as a receiver. Shravana listens. Capricorn carries responsibility. Gene key 19 feels need, belonging, touch, rejection, emotional distance, and the hunger to be included. At shadow frequency, this can become codependence, not always obvious neediness. Sometimes it looks mature. Sometimes it looks like being overly responsible for other people's moods. Sometimes it looks like listening so deeply that you lose your own center. Sometimes it looks like confusing sensitivity with obligation. Line 6 gives a higher maturity path. This is not a map of someone meant to remain emotionally dependent. This is someone meant to become wise through sensitivity. The question for Joanne's identity is, can I feel others without becoming responsible for them? That is the first key. Sensitivity must become a gift, not a burden. Then we move to the sun. Cancer, Ashlesha Nakshatra, 7th house, carrying gene key 29.3, half-heartedness to commitment to devotion. This is her life's work, and this is where the map becomes very sharp. The sun is the visible dharma, the conscious identity, the life force. But Joanne's sun is in the 7th house, so her life force is not developed in isolation. It develops through relationship, partnership, emotional contracts, public mirrors, one-to-one bonding, trust, intimacy, and the ability to meet another person without losing herself. Cancer makes the sun emotional, protective, nurturing, memory-based. Ashlesha makes it psychologically intense. Ashlesha is not casual. It coils, senses, binds, protects, tests, holds, and sometimes clings. Now place gene key 29 here. The shadow is half-heartedness. This is not laziness. This is the pain of saying yes before the whole being has agreed. It is the emotional yes, the guilty yes, the attached yes, the I don't want to disappoint you yes. It is also the opposite, withdrawing before the deeper commitment has had time to ripen. In relationship, this can become a major pattern. One part wants closeness, one part fears being trapped. One part wants loyalty, one part does not yet know what true devotion requires. Gene key 29 asks for a sacred yes, not a dramatic yes, not a needy yes, not a fearful yes, a whole-bodied yes. Line 3 means Joanne learns this through life, through experiment, through mistakes, through emotional trial and error, through discovering what drains her and what deserves her devotion. The gift is commitment, and the siddhi is devotion. This means Joanne's life's work is not to avoid relationship. It is to purify relationship, to move from emotional entanglement into conscious devotion. That is a very different thing. Entanglement says, I need you to complete me. Devotion says, I choose this because my whole being stands here. That is the sun diagnosis. Now the earth, Capricorn Dhanishta Nakshatra, first house, carrying gene key 30.3, desire to lightness to rapture. Earth is the evolution point. It shows the challenge that forces growth. Joanne's challenge is desire in the body. Desire to become something. Desire to be chosen. Desire to be recognized. Desire to be safe. Desire to belong. Desire for the relationship, the result, the role, the identity, the outcome. Capricorn in the first house can make desire serious. Dhanishta adds rhythm, ambition, social timing, performance, vows, achievement, and the need to find one's place in the world. At shadow frequency, gene key 30 becomes emotional intensity. Desire becomes pressure. Longing becomes identity. The body tightens around what it wants. This is a major growth lesson. Joanne is not being asked to kill desire. That is immature spirituality. Desire is not the enemy, but desire must become light. The gift is lightness. That means she grows when she can want something deeply without becoming possessed by it. She can love without gripping. She can create without desperation. She can aim high without turning ambition into self-punishment. The evolution point says, your body must learn not to contract around longing. When desire becomes light, life becomes dance. When desire becomes heavy, life becomes bondage. Now we move to the moon. Pisces, Revati Nakshatra, third house, carrying gene key 42.3, expectation to detachment to celebration. The moon is the emotional body. Pisces is porous, imaginative, mystical, compassionate. Revati is the guide, the protector, the one who helps beings cross from one shore to another. The third house brings communication, writing, speech, siblings, courage, skills, media, and self-effort. So Joanne's emotional body wants to speak, sing, write, imagine, narrate, explain, comfort, guide, and connect. But gene key 42 reveals the shadow, expectation. Expectation is subtle suffering. It says, this should last. This should become what I imagined. This person should understand me. This friendship should stay the same. This emotional chapter should not end. Pisces can dream. Revati can rescue. The third house can repeat the story. And gene key 42 can keep holding the unfinished emotional script. Line 3 again shows trial and error. Joanne may learn through changing friendships, shifting emotional rhythms, sibling dynamics, communication misfires, and the pain of endings. But the gift is detachment, not cold detachment, clean detachment. The ability to say, this cycle has completed, and I do not need to turn completion into abandonment. The siddhi is celebration. That is the miracle of this key. The same person who once suffered through expectation can become the person who helps others complete chapters with grace. This is why this map is so practical. It does not simply say, Moon in Pisces is sensitive. That is too broad. It says, emotional sensitivity becomes mature when expectation becomes detachment. That is precise. Now Mercury. Leo, Magha Nakshatra, 8th house, carrying gene key 59.4, dishonesty to intimacy to transparency. This is one of the most important placements in the whole map. Mercury is speech, intellect, interpretation, nervous system, language, analysis, learning. Leo wants expression, dignity, recognition. Magha brings ancestry, authority, throne energy, respect, lineage, and power memory. The 8th house brings secrets, trauma, vulnerability, hidden knowledge, occult insight, intimacy, and transformation. So Joanne's mind is not superficial. It wants to understand what people hide. It wants to understand power, shame, secrecy, emotional exposure, family patterns, psychological inheritance, and the things people do not say aloud. Gene key 59 is the intimacy key. At shadow frequency, dishonesty does not only mean deliberate lying. It can mean hiding the vulnerable truth, performing strength, speaking from pride, masking pain, controlling the narrative, saying what protects the image instead of what reveals the heart. With Leo and Magha, this can become the royal mask. I am fine. I am strong. I understand. I do not need to expose myself. But the 8th house will not permit shallow speech forever. Life will push the mind into deeper honesty. The gift is intimacy. Line 4 makes it relational. Joanne's communication gift emerges through trust, friendship, emotional bonds, counseling spaces, private conversations, and the ability to speak truth in a way that opens others. The siddhi is transparency. The highest expression is a voice so clean that secrecy dissolves. For self-reflective work, this is huge. Joanne's Mercury says, do not use intelligence to protect the mask. Use intelligence to create intimacy. That one sentence can change a life. Now Venus. Cancer, Pushyatra 7th house, carrying gene key 31.2, arrogance to leadership to humility. Venus shows love, taste, beauty, attraction, relationship values. Cancer wants emotional safety. Pushya nourishes, hosts, protects, teaches, feeds, blesses. The 7th house again makes relationship a major destiny field. This is a caring Venus. But Gene Key 31 brings the shadow of arrogance. In this placement, arrogance may not look loud. It may look like emotional certainty. I know what is best for you. I know what this relationship needs. I know how people should behave. It may be soft, but it can still control. That is important. Many nurturing people do not recognize when care becomes control. Pushya wants to nourish. Cancer wants to protect. The 7th house wants to bond. Gene Key 31 wants to lead. At shadow frequency, this can become emotional leadership without enough listening. Line 2 shows natural leadership. She may influence people without trying. Others may project wisdom, charm, or authority onto her. But the gift is leadership, and the siddhi is humility. So the correction is clear. Lead, but do not dominate. Care, but do not control. Guide, but keep listening. This is relationship mastery. Now Mars, Libra, Swati Nakshatra, 10th house, carrying Gene Key 1.4, entropy to freshness to beauty. Mars is action, drive, courage, conflict, assertion, sexuality, execution. Libra wants fairness, balance, negotiation, justice. Swati wants independence, movement, contracts, travel, entrepreneurship, and self-made freedom. The 10th house is career, public role, reputation, authority, and work in the world. So Mars is not hidden here. It wants public expression. But Gene Key 1 begins with entropy. Entropy is the loss of creative spark. The feeling of being drained, uninspired, repetitive, or disconnected from originality. In career, this can happen when Joanne is placed in environments that are too rigid, too unjust, too dull, or too disconnected from beauty and independence. The gift is freshness. Her Mars must create. It must bring originality into action. It must not simply obey dead systems. It must act from fresh life force. Line 4 makes this social. Her action affects networks, teams, public circles, and communities. The siddhi is beauty. This is not only artistic beauty. It is the beauty of correct action, the beauty of courage refined by balance, the beauty of work that carries freshness. Now Saturn, Libra, Vishaka Nakshatra, 10th house, carrying Gene Key 43.4, deafness to insight to epiphany. Saturn is discipline, karma, responsibility, delay, fear, structure, maturity. In Libra, Saturn asks for justice. In the 10th house, it asks for public responsibility. Vishaka adds ambition, long-term striving, dual paths, competition, rituals, and eventual breakthrough. Gene Key 43 is the breakthrough mind. But the shadow is deafness. Deafness means not listening to feedback, not listening to timing, not listening to the body, not listening to the deeper insight because the ego, fear, duty, or outer pressure is too loud. Saturn can become rigid. This is the path. This is the duty. This is what must be done. But Gene Key 43 says, true structure must make room for insight. Line 4 again makes this social and relational. Her insights may be transmitted through people, teams, institutions, communities, or public work. Now see Mars and Saturn together in the 10th house. Mars 1.4 says, fresh creative action. Saturn 43.4 says, breakthrough insight through disciplined listening. Together they form a powerful professional command. Do not rebel randomly. Reform intelligently. This is the difference between immature Uranian disruption and mature leadership. Joanne's career field demands both courage and structure, action and patience, independence and responsibility. Now Jupiter, Cancer, Pushya Nakshatra, 7th house, carrying Gene Key 33.5, forgetting to mindfulness to revelation. Jupiter is wisdom, teaching, prosperity, ethics, grace, expansion. Cancer gives emotional intelligence. Pushya gives nourishment and spiritual teaching. The 7th house again places this wisdom in the field of relationship. Gene Key 33 is the key of memory, retreat, reflection, and revelation. The shadow is forgetting. This is the pattern of repeating lessons because they were not fully integrated. In relationships, forgetting may mean going back into the same emotional pattern, the same type of attachment, the same disappointment, the same expectation, the same imbalance. The gift is mindfulness. Line 5 gives public impact. This is a guide's line. This is someone who may one day turn lived emotional lessons into guidance for others. The siddhi is revelation. So Joanne's prosperity is not only wealth, it is relational wisdom. It is the ability to extract revelation from experience. Her Jupiter says, pause, reflect, remember, do not repeat what life already taught you. That is a prosperity key. Now Rahu, Virgo, Chitra Nakshatra, 9th house, carrying Gene Key 50.2, corruption to equilibrium to harmony. Rahu shows hunger, obsession, future appetite, karmic amplification. Virgo wants analysis, healing, precision, correction, skill, service. Chitra wants design, beauty, visual intelligence, craft, systems, architecture, technical artistry. The ninth house is Dharma, teachers, philosophy, higher education, ethics, belief, long-distance travel, and spiritual worldview. This is a strong growth direction. Joanne is hungry for knowledge, but not vague knowledge. Precise knowledge, beautiful knowledge, useful knowledge, knowledge that can repair, design, organize, heal, or improve. But Gene Key 50 warns against corruption. Corruption here means intelligence without ethics, skill without moral balance, perfection without heart, knowledge used for superiority instead of harmony. The gift is equilibrium. Line 2 makes the ethical gift natural but unconscious at first. She may need life to show her the importance of balance, fairness, clean values, and right responsibility. The siddhi is harmony. Her Rahu path says, do not become clever, become clean. That is a sharp instruction. Opposite Rahu is Ketu in Pisces, Revati Nakshatra, 3rd house, carrying Gene Key 3.2, chaos to innovation to innocence. Ketu is past life memory, detachment, inherited mastery. Pisces and Revati bring spiritual imagination, compassion, guidance, travel, completion, and rescue energy. The 3rd house makes it communicative. Gene Key 3 begins with chaos. This can show as scattered intuitive intelligence, nonlinear learning, sudden ideas, emotional imagination, and difficulty fitting into rigid intellectual systems. But the gift is innovation. Line 2 again means it is natural. Joanne may not realize that what feels chaotic to her can become original to others. The siddhi is innocence. This is the past life communication gift. To create without overthinking, to let the new form emerge, to trust the intelligence of creative disorder. Now Uranus, Pisces, Revati Nakshatra, 3rd house, carrying Gene Key 42.2, expectation to detachment to celebration. Uranus is the higher mind, future intelligence, sudden insight, disruption of inherited thinking. In the 3rd house, Uranus electrifies communication, learning, writing, media, skills, sibling dynamics, and the nervous system. In Pisces, it becomes intuitive and visionary. In Revati, it becomes guided toward completion. But again, Gene Key 42 appears. Expectation to detachment. So the emotional body and higher mind both repeat this same lesson. That is not accidental. This means Joanne must learn not to trap the future inside an expectation. Her mind may receive visions, dreams, possibilities, and intuitive images, but if she expects them to unfold in a fixed way, she suffers. The gift is detachment. The higher mind says, let the cycle move. Let the form change. Let the intelligence complete itself. Now, if I compress Joanne's entire map into one clear diagnosis, it is this. She is here to transform emotional attachment into devotional intelligence. Her chart is filled with water, relationship, communication, and public responsibility. She is sensitive, but she is not meant to drown in sensitivity. She is relational, but she is not meant to disappear in relationship. She is imaginative, but she is not meant to escape into imagination. She is ambitious, but she is not meant to harden under ambition. Her shadow sequence looks like this: codependence, half-heartedness, desire, expectation, dishonesty, arrogance, entropy, deafness, forgetting, corruption, chaos. Now listen to the gift sequence: sensitivity, commitment, lightness, detachment, intimacy, leadership, freshness, insight, mindfulness, equilibrium, innovation. This is the whole point. The chart does not condemn her. It gives the ladder. Every shadow has a precise gift. And this is why this system is so powerful for seekers and conscious men and women doing real self-reflective work. Because vague spirituality says raise your vibration, but a sidereal hologenetic map asks which vibration, in which planet, in which house, through which relationship, through which wound, through which behavior, through which repeated life pattern. That is why it is superior and direct. It does not leave you floating in inspiration. It gives you a working map. For Joanne, relationship is not just love, it is initiation. The 7th house Cancer cluster says, you will learn yourself through others. But the Gene Keys add, do not enter relationships half-heartedly. Do not lead through emotional arrogance. Do not forget the lessons already revealed. The 10th house Libra cluster says, you will meet pressure in career and public life. But the Gene Keys add, do not let creative energy decay. Do not become deaf to insight. Build something fresh, fair, and beautiful. The 3rd house Pisces cluster says, your emotional and intuitive life flows through communication. But the Gene Keys add, do not cling to expectations. Do not fear chaos. Let chaos become innovation, and let completion become celebration. That is a map you can work with. So if you are listening and you recognize yourself in any of this, do not just consume the reading. Contemplate it. Ask yourself, where am I saying yes without devotion? Where am I using care as control? Where am I hiding behind intelligence instead of allowing intimacy? Where am I expecting life to follow my emotional script? Where am I repeating a lesson because I refuse to remember it? Where is my sensitivity asking to become wisdom? Where is my career asking for fresh action? Where is my mind receiving insight that I keep ignoring? Your shadow is not proof that you are broken. Your shadow is the exact place where your consciousness is asking for participation. That is the invitation of this work. Not prediction. Participation. Not fatalism. Frequency. Not personality typing. Transformation. Joanne's Sidereal Hologenetic map says something very precise. She is here to feel deeply, but not cling. To relate deeply, but not merge unconsciously. To speak truthfully, but not perform strength. To lead naturally, but remain humble. To create freshly, but build with discipline. To seek knowledge, but stay ethically clean. To complete emotional cycles and eventually celebrate them. That is a profound life path. And this is what I want you to take from this reading. You do not need a generic spiritual label. You need a map that shows how your own consciousness actually works. Your planets are not decorative symbols. They are diagnostic engines. Your nakshatras are not mythology for entertainment. They are instinctive fields. Your houses are not abstract categories. They are life arenas where your shadow gets activated. Your gene keys are not personality tags. They are frequency pathways. And when all of this is integrated, your life becomes readable. Your wounds become workable. Your patterns become visible. Your gifts become usable. And your spiritual path becomes embodied. So if you want to understand your own map in this direct way, get in touch with me for a deep sidereal hologenetic gene keys map reading, one that works for you. Not a generic report, not a surface reading, a precise consciousness map built from your planetary placements, nakshatras, houses, gene keys, shadows, gifts, and growth path. Because when you understand your map, you stop asking, why does this keep happening to me? And you begin asking the question that changes everything. What is this pattern trying to awaken in me?